Now, people think this is Doomfist music, but is this actually Doomfist music? Well, we've heard this before on the very first Overwatch cinematic that was released. Check this out.
Conflict. As the world teetered on the brink of anarchy.
Now, that was taken from the PTR a couple of months ago, ladies and gentlemen. You might remember the very video that was actually part of. What was that music? It sounded like, well, kind of very Doomfisty, right? But even in the video, I was like, no, I don't think this is. We actually heard this before, and it was during the very first Overwatch cinematic, which shows the Omnic Crisis. So is that, or was that, a leak for the upcoming Omnic Uprising event in Kings Row, which we know now for sure is going to happen next Tuesday? There will be a new Overwatch event. And how the hell do we know this for sure? Well, Jeff is in the UK for the BAFTA Game Award thingies, and he's been doing a lot of interviews with a lot of traditional media websites, PC Games N and GameSpot. So we're going to go through this and look at what he said, because there are some very interesting things. All right, let's get into this. The event is going to be something. When players see the event and play the event, I think they'll see that we've been listening to their feedback. That's awesome. So obviously it's a playable event. That's great. We've got that confirmed. I mean, we kind of like, I was guessing it being an event or maybe being some sort of cinematic, but it's clearly an event now. That has been 100% confirmed, and it's going to have various loot boxes. It's just going to be a total event. But the interesting thing is it's going to have a playable element, but we'll get onto that in a second. We've been hearing a lot of desire for more story. People want to know about the story of Overwatch. They want to know more about the past of Overwatch. I think they want to know more about what's going on in between the Omnics and humans in this world, and how did we get there. I think a lot of that will be answered for them. So this is saying what the hell this event is going to be. It is the first in-game, lore-specific seasonal event. It's something I've been asking for a very long time. I mean, it was odds on they would always do this because it makes sense. You can't just keep copying real-world sort of events. It's kind of it's great in one way because it sort of does break the fourth wall type of thing, but we want in-game lore events. We want to know more about Overwatch because it is kind of like very light on lore. Yes, you can say it's got great lore. Yes, you could say it's got minimal lore. Whatever you want to say about Overwatch, but the fact remains, it is very bare bones when it comes to the story, so we do need more development of that. And if they're giving us an event which allows us, apparently, to play whatever the hell happened in Kings Row during the Omnic Uprising, which resulted in the Omnics being pushed underground, in some sort of simulation mode by viewing the Overwatch mission archives, that's actually a brilliant idea, because what that means is we won't actually, well, you could kind of just keep inventing missions, right? Overwatch was active for years and years and years. It could have been on loads and loads of missions, so I think that's an awesome thing if that's what this actually is. I mean, I bloody hope it is, ladies and gentlemen. Oh my god. So this, I think, confirms that maybe it's PvE. We'll have to see. Or maybe confirms a bit of a strong word. So, yeah, what we've got here is one of the most interesting things for us was the Junkenstein event. Yes, that was the best seasonal event, I think everybody would agree, that we made for Halloween. We had never made any player versus environment content. The game is very deliberately designed to be this player versus player experience. But a lot of us on the Overwatch team come from either StarCraft team or the World of Warcraft. The guys who sit in my room love making that kind of content, and Junkenstein was a really good experiment for us to go. What could PvE feel like? In not only how it played, but how we delivered the story. We narrated Junkenstein, we used Reinhardt, made a comic about it, the chatter between the four heroes. I think it's something we'd like to experiment with. I think this is a teaser. I think this is Jeff being Jeff going, oh yeah, we'd really like to experiment with this, and boom, boom, here's a massive event which is full of all of this stuff. I hope that's what this is. People are sort of starting to speculate that yes, this Kings Row event could be a type of like Omnic Horde mode where the God programs start taking over the Omnics, because that's what the God programs did, and obviously instigated the Omnic Crisis. So maybe we have to sort of slaughter them, although that seems ridiculous, but we'll have to see what happens. I cannot wait to see this, and I'm going to take this as confirmation that they know us as players really like the Junkenstein event. Now, I know some of you guys watching this video are probably thinking, Sty, why do you keep going on about PvE? Because I always go on about PvE content, and it's quite simple. The reason why I go on about PvE content is because it is another arm to this game. It will attract more players. I know Overwatch is a massive game, but you cannot tell me that you just constantly want to play PvE all the time in this world, which is designed for stories and all of that amazing stuff with the animated shorts, with the history of the characters and all of that stuff, with the in-game lore as it is. We want to see this developed, and I think that would be awesome. maybe in the future we could see a situation where people just generally do play Overwatch PvE, they do Overwatch missions or whatever, you know, and that's what they do. Honestly, I think that could be something. Anyway, let's carry on. Now, talking about a single-player campaign, this is what Jeff says. For a 6v6 PvP game, coming out with a whole single-player campaign is like making a brand new game in and of itself. I am not sure our players understand the magnitude of development that would go behind that, but certainly it's a fascinating idea. Now sure, an entire single player game attached to Overwatch would be totally ridiculous. I think, like, more from my point of view, I want to see these single player scenarios, which I think, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sitting here holding my hands together praying to the babe Jesus that this is what this event will be next week. And I'll also, actually, I'm really impressed that the event is just teased a week before and then it's just going to come out. Like, I think they did that before with the previous event, but this, for being such a, well, potentially a monumental sort of life-changing event for Overwatch, I can't wait. I mean, we had the teasers from the lead art designer who was like, this is the best thing we've worked on since launch. I mean, stop saying these things to me. I'm hyped anyway. I'm just going to die of being overhyped. This could be, oh my god. Ugh. I can't wait to log in and hear that menu music anyway that we heard at the start of this video. Oh my god. Would you like a jetpack controlled cat hero, internet? I bet you would, ladies and gentlemen. We had done a lot of concepting. We had one hero who was just a hockey player, literally a hockey player. We later made a Lucio skin for a hockey player, but he was just a hockey player hero. That sounds kind of terrible. Then there was this one hero that was this huge internal debate on the team because we just loved it so much, but we didn't make it. This is where the internet is going to die. It was this jetpack, and it had this cat that, well, laid in it, like a cat does, then every once in a while it would paw at the controls. It was a cat in a jetpack. This was one of those moments that helped define Overwatch. We just went, yeah, that's probably too far. But yes, we had a cat hero. I mean, you can't say that and then not give us some sort of concept art for this hero, because honestly, that sounds absolutely amazing. It sounds totally ridiculous, because what Jeff was saying is they've got Winston at one end of the spectrum and Soldier 76 at the other. So they've got the standard hero Soldier, and then they've got the far out sort of gorilla from space in Winston, and they didn't want to go any further than Winston. Now that's interesting to me, because a cat in a jetpack, it sounds honestly terrible, right? It just sounds, I mean, what would this be called? Jet cat, like Junkrat Jet Cat or something? Cat Jet? Sounds ridiculous. Like, how would that even be a hero? Like, but then again, Winston's a hero and he's a goddamn gorilla from space, so even, who knows? I just thought this was pretty funny. Like, Jeff threw this out here. Do we know if this is true or not? I don't know. It was a very Jeff-like thing to say during an interview. That's what I'm going to say to that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, there is a new comic coming as well. I guess this isn't really news as such, because there's always comics coming out. It's much like when Jeff says, oh, there's a new hero for quite far along in development. Well, obviously, ladies and gentlemen, that's not really news, is it? Anyway, moving on. I'm very excited, and we have a new comic coming out very soon. I think it's our best comic to date, and it tells more about Overwatch than any of our comics have in the past. I'm very excited for our players to get our hands on that. So this must be tying into the Uprising event. If this is going to be the start of actual Overwatch story progression, or rather, not so much progression, but building more of the Overwatch backstory through in-game events, it makes sense that they would tie a comic into that, which ties into what's going on, much like they did with the Junkenstein event. Now, you can kind of see the parallels there. Like, he was talking about the Junkenstein event, how much they love that, how much they want to explore the PvE stuff, and then they also had a comic for that. So I think they're probably following the Junkenstein template, because that, honestly, I mean, I don't care what any of you guys say. I think that was the best event by far, and it had some of the best skins as well. Awesome. There is a new Zarya skin coming, but not just yet. So, I will tell you this. For Zarya in particular, the next event won't have anything, and I apologise. Well, I'm sorry, Jeff. As you can see, the interview from GameSpot says, Jeff, this is devastating, and truly it is devastating. But shortly after, there will be an amazing Zarya skin. So there's going to be a Zarya skin. Awesome. We know there's going to be a Widowmaker skin for this event and a McCree skin, because that was teased by Jeff on the forums. I want to see those skins, especially the Widowmaker one. She is in dire need of a skin. The thing with Widow is her skins are really good, but they're really old, like in the sense of Overwatch is history, because I mean, they're pretty much, I think actually the only skin she's got is the oh, what is it? The not Winter Games, the Summer Games skin, and that was not great. I mean, it was just a recolor. And then he talks about the map editor. Now, this is a hugely interesting thing to me, because I think the custom game system in Overwatch has massive potential. It's okay at the moment. It's a little bit, I guess, irritating at times to use, and it seems to be falling off a little bit in popularity, which isn't great, but I think that's because it's so difficult to start games that actually attract people and all of that stuff. But a map editor, think that would be awesome. And this is what he says about this. It would be more getting a statement out there to say, philosophically, we're totally on board with things like a map editor. The problem is, because we're a brand new engine, for us to get our tools in players' hands, it's literally going to take years. It's not even something I could say like, oh, that's our top priority now, and in the next couple of patches you'll see it. It's literally years away. The amount of work it will take to get there someday. But philosophically, the team is super excited to someday get there, but it's not trivial. So what he's saying here is the map editor is not something they can just go, boom, there's a map editor. I'm pretty sure a lot of work has gone into the custom game system, and probably more so than most things which have hit Overwatch since launch, especially with how dynamic it is and how you can set up the servers and all of that stuff. This is good though, because this does say that yes, we do want a map editor, but we can't really get it out to you just yet. So the way the game would be designed is they would use in-house developer tools, which obviously with a brand new engine that they've designed, it's going to be very Overwatch-y specific. Now, I'm not a programmer, and I don't know if any of you guys are programmers out there, but I know a few programmers, and I know one of them who's actually really good, but his style of programming is basically unreadable to other programmers, so he doesn't really work together in a team very well. Now, why I'm saying that is basically, you imagine Blizzard are the same, right? They've designed this engine with these people for years and years and years. They know how to use it, but they couldn't just go to another guy and go, hey, this is just use the engine, because it's not designed for that, and it's going to take a lot of work. You see, that I think they've basically got it to a point where they can use it to produce content, and that's cool, but slowly over time, it will get upgraded, it will get more advanced. Much like StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3, if you look at those games, they've got extremely good editors that basically anybody can use. So I think it will be something Blizzard will do, but obviously Overwatch's development is insane, because we are getting new major game updates every single month since launch, and that is completely ridiculous. Alright, so that pretty much sums up what we've seen from the two interviews that Jeff has done so far. Some interesting information. Obviously, the big one is we've got confirmation that this is the Uprising, Overwatch Kings Row Uprising is an event. It will have playable elements, which I hope is some sort of PvE scenario. I mean, that could mean anything playable element. It could mean, like, it's just, well, like May's snowball thingy, which I don't think was the best event ever, but you know, we don't know. Ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I am super pumped. I hate saying that word, super, to describe everything. Super hyped, super pumped, but I am, ladies and gentlemen. I want to see this event. It could be fantastic. PvE is something I've always wanted, and I think it's going to be great for the game if it is in the game. If not, we're going to get a lot of lore concerning Overwatch and what happened in Kings Row 7 years ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Stylosa, and this is Unit Lost. Follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. Let me know if you've got any crazy theories, and I'll catch you on the next one. Toodaloo.